Rapper and reality TV personality Chrisean Eugenia Malone, better known as Chrisean Rock, rose to prominence by appearing on an OnlyFans show called Blue Girls Club, which she ended up winning. It involved her and other young women living in rapper Blueface's mansion. The show's popularity was intertwined with Blueface's massive social media popularity and would come to feature adult content, drinking games, and frequent fights between the women. Malone at one point lost the front tooth during a physical altercation in the mansion. She dated Blueface from 2020 to 2023 and gave birth to their son, a boy named Chrisean, in September of the latter year. Malone appeared on 3 seasons of the Zeus Network reality series Baddies, and then on a short-lived series called Blueface and Chrisean, Crazy in Love. The volatile relationship drew considerable media attention. Malone at one point tattooed Blueface's portrait on her face, prompting concerned reactions from her followers, one of whom wrote, "I really pray this is fake," while another said, "You ruined your face, girl." Blueface was in police custody at the time, and Malone announced the tattoo with an Instagram post captioned, "Free my daddy, I love you, papa." In 2022, she wrote, "I love Blue" in her blood on his wall during an argument. She was subsequently arrested in Oklahoma while behind the wheel of Blueface's G-Wagon, which she had stolen, and was attempting to drive from California to Baltimore, her home city. Malone was charged with being in possession of controlled dangerous substances with intent to distribute and failure to have a tax stamp affixed on the drugs. In March of 2023, following her guilty plea to the felony drug charges, she was sentenced to 4 years of probation and 120 hours of community service. Malone would fail to complete her community service, and in February of 2024, the Oklahoma District Attorney submitted a request that she spend 30 days behind bars. A warrant was released, but Malone took to Instagram in March and said that she had no plans to turn herself in, stating that she got no time for jail and that she has a son to raise. She was consequently listed as a fugitive on the Oklahoma Department of Corrections website. As her career as a rapper and media figure took shape, Malone was also involved in several fights. In August of 2023, she was charged with assault in the second degree after punching and threatening rapper and influencer Victoria Vicky Waldrip. The incident took place during filming for Baddies in Baltimore. In June of 2024, during a Tamar Braxton concert in downtown LA, Malone assaulted James Wright, who was a backup singer for Braxton. Malone repeatedly punched him in the face while wearing rings, breaking 2 of his teeth. She pleaded no contest to assault and was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 12 months of probation, with the condition that she maintained a distance of at least 100 yards from Wright. Number 9. Amber Matthews. A 23-year-old OnlyFans model was arrested in the fall of 2024 after an ill-fated and misguided attempt at a pro-Palestine protest. TikToker and adult content creator Amber Matthews recorded herself tearing down flags attached to a bunting at Effie's Gyro in Montclair, New Jersey, on March the 11th of 2024. Matthews ripped through them while screaming at workers that there was a genocide going on. As she held up a handful of mangled flags, the young woman declared, "Free Palestine," and "I don't stand for Zionism in Montclair." She shouted at confused staff, "What are you looking at?" A worker at Effie's approached Matthews and calmly told her that the flags through which she was tearing were actually of Greece. Matthews replied, "What? Really? Oh, I thought it was Israel. My bad." Matthews had failed to remark that gyro, a well-known Greek dish, was part of the restaurant's name and written in large letters on the window. She'd also failed to grasp that even though they share the same color scheme, the designs on the flags of the two countries are markedly different. Roughly a week before the incident, Matthews was reportedly at the restaurant distributing flyers in support of Palestine. On October the 15th of 2024, Matthews, who went by Ambermelia on social media, posted a TikTok captioned, "The time I mistakenly thought the flag for Greece was for Israel and took the restaurant's flag down. OMG." The clip went viral, amassing millions of views on TikTok and even more on X. Some users were amused while others were outraged by what they considered to be embarrassing and offensive behavior displayed by Matthews. Natalie Lee, owner of Mickey and Al's Noshery, a kosher deli in Montclair, told the media, "She did make herself look like one of the dumbest people on earth. How do you not know the difference?" Adding, "If you're going to make that kind of statement, at least know your flag." The police were investigating the incident but had no leads until Matthews posted the TikTok that went viral. She was consequently arrested on charges of bias and intimidation. Number 8. Alice Mabel Weeks. In May of 2022, Australian law enforcement raided the Adelaide home of 26-year-old Alice Mabel Weeks following the shooting and abduction of an unnamed 31-year-old man. The victim was reported to have visited Weeks at an address in Mawson Lakes when 3 armed men assaulted him and shot him in the back. They bound the victim and drove him to Port Gawler in his own Toyota sedan abandoned him on a remote road, and set his vehicle on fire. A Good Samaritan took the victim to the Lyle McEwen Hospital where he recovered from his wounds. The authorities then raided the Mawson Lakes home and arrested Weeks along with a man by the name of Leonard Wilkins, who was described as a drug dealer. Law enforcement came upon methamphetamine on a coffee table in the home. In a backpack on the couch, the police found a sawn-off .22 caliber rifle with a loaded magazine attached to it. Weeks had gunshot residue on her hands and her DNA was found on the rifle's bolt and trigger guard. Prosecutors would argue that the evidence clearly indicated that the firearm had been used for nefarious purposes. Weeks and Wilkins faced multiple charges including theft, false imprisonment, arson, and discharging a firearm to injure and annoy or frighten a person. The more serious counts were dropped after the victim refused to provide a statement and cooperate with the authorities. At the time of her arrest, Weeks was an OnlyFans model making up to $12,000 a month under the name Poppy Days. She remained behind bars for several months until a follow-up hearing, during which she pleaded guilty to possessing a firearm without a license and possessing an unregistered firearm. The woman also admitted stealing roughly $5,000 from a joint account she had with the father of her child. Following the breakdown of their relationship, she asked the court for leniency, and it was revealed that her life had spiraled downwards following a methamphetamine addiction. Wilkins was jailed in 2024 after pleading guilty to drug trafficking and possessing the same gun as the OF model. Updates from late May of 2025 indicated that Weeks was handed a sentence of 2 years and 9 months, with a non-parole period of 1 year and 2 months. Number 7. Nicole Vargas. On April the 4th of 2018, officers from the Brevard County Sheriff's Office in Florida were called to the parking lot of an apartment complex in Cape Canaveral. Multiple witnesses had spotted a topless woman openly performing an intimate act on her boyfriend just a few feet from the road. The woman was subsequently identified as Nicole "Nikki" Vargas, and her partner was named as 23-year-old Colton Vogel. The couple attacked a male witness who'd reportedly told them to move along upon catching them in the act. Vargas ripped his shirt, punched him in the chest, and struck him in the back of the head, while her boyfriend punched the victim in the head and jaw. When law enforcement arrived at the scene, Vargas tried to run away. A deputy chased the woman and caught up with her. A video shared by TMZ showed a handcuffed and topless Vargas being led to a police vehicle. The woman had appeared on season 10 of the Oxygen reality TV show Bad Girls Club, which followed the lives of a group of women who considered themselves bad girls as they documented their lives while sharing a home in Los Angeles. Vargas left the show after 4 episodes, over the course of which she got into several fights with co-star Valentia and Yanwu. Updates indicated that Vargas and Vogel were both charged with unnatural and lascivious acts in public, battery, indecent exposure, and resisting arrest without violence. Number 6. Bethan Guy. An English OnlyFans model narrowly avoided jail at Swindon Crown Court in October of 2024 after blackmailing a man to whom she'd sold explicit photos of herself. The incident took place between July and August of 2022, and Guy met the victim through Snapchat, where she was distributing adult content. After the married man bought her photos, Guy threatened to disclose the exchange to his wife unless he sent her more money. The victim would later report feeling trapped and helpless. He feared losing his family and sent the model £450, but she asked for more. The man was left struggling to pay his bills and eventually decided to alert the authorities. Guy pleaded guilty to blackmail in December of 2023, but while awaiting sentencing, the 29-year-old continued to promote her OnlyFans profile that featured photos of her in the nude, along with videos of her engaging in various intimate acts involving toys or a male partner. Commenting on her case in July of the following year, she stated on Instagram, "If I could go back to the moment it happened, I would, because it honestly was just a mistake. But this small mistake has now cost me so much pain and dread, I can't even explain." The Swindon woman was ultimately handed a 2-year suspended sentence in addition to being ordered to carry out 225 hours of unpaid work, take part in 15 rehabilitation days, 12 mental health treatment sessions, and pay £450 to the victim. A local police source acknowledged that a growing number of people were being blackmailed through social media, and that reporting such crimes might be difficult, but assured victims, whatever has happened is not your fault, even though you might have been told it is. Number 5. Brandy Nussbaum. On May the 11th of 2025, Brandy Nussbaum was arrested by the Tampa Police Department in Florida on charges of grand theft in the 3rd degree and resisting arrest or detention in retail theft. Not many details regarding the case were available to the media, but the 28-year-old Florida woman was reported to have pilfered goods valued anywhere from $750 to $5,000. Nussbaum posted a $2,500 bond and her case was ongoing as of the latest updates. She was not considered dangerous, but was known of having at least one alias that was a variation of her full name and date of birth. If consecutively convicted of both her charges, the woman faced up to 6 years behind bars and a $6,000 fine. Number 4. Ellie Rixon. Leading up to March of 2025, English woman Ellie Rixon, aged 20, faced up to 6 years in prison for offences that stemmed from her creating adult content with a girl in her mid-teens. The images and videos were posted online and sold through WhatsApp. Rixon and the unnamed teen arranged to share the profits, and even though the latter was described as a willing participant, she was legally deemed incapable of consenting because of her age. Rixon initially thought the girl was 18, but learned that wasn't the case roughly 4 months into the arrangement. She nevertheless continued to create content with her and reportedly used part of the profit to fund her drug habit. Rixon refused to take the images down when the victim asked her to do so. She broke down in the dock at Liverpool Crown Court upon learning that she could be jailed for 6 years. She had already spent a period in custody at Style Prison in Wilmslow, Cheshire. After breaching her bail conditions, the woman admitted 3 counts of producing and 3 counts of distributing indecent images. A judge considered several factors in giving her a suspended 2-year sentence, including the time she'd already spent locked up and the fact that she was initially unaware the victim was a minor. Rixon was also given a 12-month drug rehabilitation requirement and her rehabilitation activity requirement of up to 30 days, while also having to register as an offender for 10 years. Number 3. Hend Bustami. In September of 2023, Las Vegas woman Hend Bustami pleaded guilty, but mentally ill, to the second-degree murder of her mother, 61-year-old Afaf Hussanan. In October of the previous year, Bustami called 911 while driving down a California highway and told the operator, "I think I killed my mummy." When she was stopped by the California Highway Patrol in Barstow, Bustami was reportedly covered in blood. At the time of the incident, Bustami and Hussanan lived together in a house on June Flower Drive in Los Angeles. Neighbors described the family as the loudest on the block, with frequent conflicts being reported between the mother and daughter. The police have been called to their residence at least a dozen times. Bustami was also observed exhibiting strange behavior, such as going into neighbors' open garages, asking strangers for rides and scattering her belongings outside. She would come outside and literally spin in her driveway, singing songs or talking to herself in her driveway, or she'd just walk up and down the street muttering to herself, said neighbor Andres Moreno. After Bustami was arrested, Hussanan's lifeless body was found at their home. It would emerge that the mother and daughter had had an argument over cigarettes that devolved into a physical altercation. Bustami smashed the glass table over her mother's head and then stabbed her to death with the broken shards. Following her guilty plea, she was given a sentence of 15 years to life. 29-year-old Bustami was set to become parole eligible in 2037 and would be able to receive any mental health treatment and programs while incarcerated. About a month before killing her mother, Bustami had made headlines over an incident at the Harry Reid International Airport. The woman had left without paying the bill at an airport Chili's restaurant and then caused a disturbance at a security checkpoint. When law enforcement reached her, Bustami protested that she was too pretty to be arrested. The woman, who was described as being drunk and belligerent, threatened to spit on the officers. She called them perverts and accused them of trying to abuse her because they had never seen anyone as good looking. Today's topic was requested by Rara Prug and Miniverse Nana. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Peyton Lathan. On December the 8th of 2024, DJ Duncan Allen was working at the Casa Diablo Gentlemen's Club in Northwest Portland, Oregon. The club described itself as a world-infamous vegan establishment with a description boasting, "Vixens, not veal, sizzle, not steak. We put the meat on the pole, not on the plate." Allen had DJ'd at the club for about 10 years, and on the 8th, he was at his station. The man would recall how he was blindsided, stating, "I felt like a 500-pound man punched me in the back like 4 times. When he turned around, he saw exotic dancer Peyton Lathan holding a knife and realized that she'd stabbed him." As captured on CCTV, Lathan approached him from behind and plunged the blade into his body multiple times, with one strike causing his lung to collapse. She then fled the scene while other dancers rushed to help Allen by calling 911 and applying pressure to his wounds as he faded in and out of consciousness. He would later tell a media outlet, "The girls were instrumental to my survival." An ambulance was on the scene in roughly 6 minutes and took Allen to the hospital, where he recovered following emergency surgery. The man said that the thought of his dog Stone had kept him going, noting, "I didn't want to leave this world and have Stone not know what happened to his dad." Leading up to the attack, surveillance footage showed Lathan in the dressing room for around 10 minutes, shaking and crying. The club owner, Johnny Diablo Zukle suspected that the exotic dancer had experienced a mental health crisis, and he was quoted as saying she seemed like she was possessed by a demon. I think she had intended to kill someone and it just happened to be Duncan. Zukle added after the attack, 29-year-old Lathan was found by law enforcement hiding in some bushes with 2 knives in her vicinity, one of which had blood on it. During her arrest, the dancer was reported to have repeatedly stated that she was pleading insanity. She'd been employed at Casa Diablo on and off for about as long as Alan. By all accounts, they had a professional and cordial relationship. During her arrest, however, she accused him of being a drug dealer, which he vehemently denied. As of the latest updates on the case, Lathan pleaded not guilty to charges that included attempted murder and assault. Number 1. Melissa Truswell. Late at night, on August the 6th of 2024, children's care worker Melissa Truswell from England was spotted by law enforcement driving her Mercedes with her hazard lights turned on. Believing she was in need of assistance, a police officer began following Truswell in his vehicle. He then noticed that the 39-year-old was swerving all over the road and that she nearly collided with the central bollard. She was stopped roughly 2 miles from her home in Romiley, Greater Manchester. Truswell was given multiple chances to provide a roadside breath test but failed to do so. She was consequently arrested. Surveillance cameras from the cop car captured the woman bursting into tears and having a meltdown in the back of the vehicle. Truswell, who had a previous drink driving conviction from 2009, insisted, "I am a nice person, but you are going to treat me like I am a tramp. Does that make you feel quite special?" As the interaction progressed, the woman said, "I've got a lovely house," adding, "I will show you that I am a decent person." The officer insisted that she'd been given ample opportunities to provide a breath sample and that she needed to take responsibility for her actions, to which Truswell replied, "That's evil. You are not perfect either." At Wigan Magistrates Court, Truswell pleaded guilty to failing to provide a specimen of breath for analysis. As a result of her arrest, the woman lost her job. She was bailed until September for a probation report to be prepared and was temporarily banned from driving. Thanks for watching. Would you stay with your partner if they got a face tattoo without discussing it with you first? Why or why not? Let us know in the comments section below.